What's up everybody, this is Reese from Manga and welcome to my review of Fairy Tail Chapter 472, Laxus vs Wahl. So, mainly an action chapter this week, and boy am I glad that finally one of my predictions finally went exactly as I planned it. Granted though, I thought it was going to come a bit later, but hell, it did happen, so yay me. Also this week, Dimaria's abilities finally been kind of hinted at, but it seems pretty self-explanatory as to what it is. So I'm gonna start there. I'm gonna start with that. So Dimaria's ability, she said that basically she can kill Wendy and Shelia in the blink of an eye. At least that's how it would seem to them. So I'm guessing it has something to do with super speed. It just makes sense. No one can kind of like determine what her powers are, and she takes them out of that with her just looking like she's standing completely still. So she's probably there moving obviously like faster than the eye can see. It does kind of really does make me wonder exactly what the strategy is going to be to defeat her. I'm kind of seeing both Wendy and Shelly are both trying to use like their sky. Well, obviously they both use sky magic, so maybe some sort of like wind ability will play a factor here. Like probably firing lots of wind at her to slow her down and bring her back to normal speeds. It could even be something like, I don't know, a giant wind barrier which will stop her movements, or hell, even just some form of decent AoE attack, like which will actually be able to hit her. Something along those lines. But I do also kind of wonder whether this speed thing is even magic at all. Because obviously, like when you actually saw her looking like she was about to activate something, you did see her kind of like click pop something in her mouth, some form of like, I don't know, pill or something hidden in her mouth. You heard it go click. So yeah, it's definitely something. I'm not too sure whether that is actually magic or whether it's a form of like, I don't know, Wahl's alchemy or some sort of potion or something like that which gives her a magical ability. But hopefully it'll be an interesting battle, and I'm hoping that we actually do get to kind of like start seeing some things from Dimaria's perspective. So it'll be kind of like, I don't know, all kind of slightly grayed out pages, Wendy and Shadow just standing there doing nothing, then you see her like bouncing around the place, something like that. It's like, that'll look kind of cool. It's like, hell, I can even see her like, I don't know, running on the wind itself at some point. It's like they fire some form of wind magic, and then just that's it, Dimaria's moving at such high speeds it literally looks like it's standing still, so she's able to like walk all over it. Something like that would be really, really cool. So back to the main event, Laxus and Wahl, and boy, Laxus is super pissed. It's like you can just tell from the way he's fighting that he's basically just trying to end this thing as quickly as possible. I mean, obviously, like you saw the guy's organs. It looks like they're all fried from the inside. I'm thinking like something along the lines of, it could be like the miasma particles obviously inhaled them. That could have either burnt his insides, or stick with me here. It could have like stop the natural insulation inside of his body when he uses magic, because it's like it could be like disrupting the larchma inside of him, which is like, obviously which is producing his dragon slayer magic. So something like that. It's like every time now he's firing something off, the natural insulation that he's built up from it is now kind of like destroyed, so he's burning himself from the inside, something along those lines. But Wahl himself, man, this guy is such an interesting being. It's like the way he's talking is kind of like he's transformed himself into a cyborg with his alchemy. It's like the way he's kind of like talk about charging his power output, changing his personality, stuff like that. It's like I really would not have put it past him to do something like that. But if this is the case, I'm guessing that this is definitely going to spell his downfall. The fact that he's going to be some form of cyborg, because like, come on. In every shonen series, they say like once a human becomes an android, that is it. They've hit their limit in power. Look at One Punch Man, for example. The reason that Genos can never become as strong as Saitama is literally because he's a cyborg. He can't train his body. He can never he can never break the human limits. All he can ever do is just give himself new parts, but he'll still never ever be that strong. I think that's part of the joke as well. Laxus, he basically seems like he's in trouble now. While he's basically taking on his attack form, which I must admit does look a hell of a lot better than his whole like robo counterpart that was fighting the Raijins. That final form looks kind of stupid, but this one now, well, looks like a badass. And obviously, Laxus is obviously in trouble because now the whole miasma convulsions have started taking a hold of him. Basically in the next chapter I can kind of see it now that like Laxus is basically just going to get his ass kicked for like most of the chapter. Probably most of it he'll have his like whole inner monologue running, just like, I can't be defeated now, I have to do this. He'll have some flashbacks to everyone, find his like inner peace or whatever, the usual stuff. So basically he'll end up like overcoming them convulsions with some sort of form of like devastating attack which will give his everything into it. He'll probably defeat Wahl, and then you'll just see him like there, it's like, finally I can die in peace or some crap like that. But obviously Laxus ain't gonna die. Someone's gonna save him. But yeah, that's basically I can kind of like see the next chapter going. But yeah, that was pretty much it for this chapter. Decent action, pretty predictable outcomes, but what are you gonna expect? You're reading a shonen manga. You're basically in it for the journey of the battle, not the actual outcomes themselves. But yeah, chapter itself, it was alright. Lots of action, which was pretty good. Battles that are actually happening right now, it all makes sense. I'm liking the way they're going. Really interested to see what's going to be going on with the whole Wendy and Shelia versus Dimaria battle. That one there seems a bit more interesting, just because with Wahl, we've seen exactly what he can do. We know his magic basically, and we know how Laxus is. No one's going to defeat Laxus that easily. But when it comes to the whole Dimaria battle, I'm more interested in seeing just what exactly her powers are. That's really what it is. But yeah, that's about it from me this week, guys. The usual thing to the end of these. Let me know what you thought about this chapter in the comment section below. And as usual, don't forget to check out our things on the channel. So I'll see you next time.